This is the Andrew Walsh podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen. I really appreciate it. I'm praying you can take away something from this episode that brings value to your life. Make sure to subscribe to my podcast to stay up to date with the latest episodes, and please share with a friend if you feel you are getting something out of these episodes. You can also follow me on Instagram at @A_Walsh. Let's fire it off. All right, what's going on? Let's fire it off today. 20th episode. I got Carlo Valdes with me here today. He's been in the Olympics. He's training for the USA 2020 Olympics. He's a bobsledder. He's a beast. He's also a businessman. He works with the how do I say it there, Carlo?
Miliari Group.
Miliari. Yeah. I knew I had it in my notes with the little tilde, but I still needed your help on that. They're also affiliated with Ed Mylet, who's a huge successful entrepreneur. We got a ton of value for this podcast today. So I just always like saying, how you doing today, Carlo?
Andrew, I'm great, man. Just cranking away. It's time for our business, especially with the pandemic going on. People have been thinking more seriously about their finances, but at the same time, I'm training for the 2022 games in Beijing.
Yep.
So I'm trying to make both work, and it's just it's crazy, but I love it. It keeps me motivated, so that's why I do it. I love it.
I love it, man. Yes, 2022 Olympics, right? And I know Carlo really well. Usually I see him more, but with the pandemic and everything going on, the Zoom video chat pops up. I'm like, damn, dude, you're looking jacked, bro. This guy is in Olympian shape. And I just want to thank you, Carlo, for hopping on today. And everyone who's listening, I really appreciate the support. I mean, the amount of downloads we're getting. And for this to be the 20th episode, I couldn't do it without you. So I do want to just start off with a prayer, and then we'll get right on into it. So bow your heads, close your eyes. If you're driving, keep your eyes open, all right? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day that you have blessed us with, Lord. Even in the midst of trials and tribulations and all this craziness going on around us, we can still always find things to be thankful for, whether it's something as small as running water or having, clean socks to put on in the morning, God. There's so many things we can thank you for. I'm praying you bless Carlo and his words and our conversations go in the direction you want them today, that we can impact somebody who's listening to this episode today. And Lord, that you're just watching over all the people who are listening to this, Carlo, his friends and family, and just continue to shine your bright light onto these people. Lord, we love you so much. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen, bro. So we got some killer stuff today. I want to get a little bit behind the scenes of what it's like to be an Olympic athlete, what goes into that training, and how that is kind of translated into business for you. So, I mean, we live in California. How did you get into bobsledding?
Yeah, that's the most common question I always get. So at UCLA, I was on the track team there. My coach, Mike Maynard, he was the one that told me to try out when I was done. And it was just one of those things where, we're kind of caught off guard because you're just like bobsled, why? We're in California. Why would it be good?
Yeah.
Because it's not something you think about. It's one of those sports where someone has to actually tell you to try out in order to do it. And yeah, that's where most of the athletes come from, like football, track, rugby, a few other sports, but mainly those. So after I graduated, I was a sprinter my whole life. I played football my whole life, but then I threw strictly the last couple of years, or the last 4 years at UCLA, and got stronger. So I was always fast, then I got strong. So that's what bobsled is. It's just a combo of speed and strength and power. And yeah, tried out, went to a combine. So there's a few ways to go up the ranks there. So I did a combine, just testing athleticism and potential. Then got invited to rookie push champs, did well in those. And then we have team trials, which is like an inter squad between teams to help select the national team for the World Cup season. And I was on USA 5 at that point, and they only take 3 teams. So I'm on the 5th team at that point,
Wow.
and then we actually just crushed the team trials and like did better than what we're supposed to. And yeah, from there, I made an impression on the coaches and some of the athletes, and they're just like, hey, you're on the team. And then I went from USA 5 to USA 3, and then from USA 3 to USA 1 throughout that season, and I just never looked back. So it was just crazy how everything worked out.
Man, that's awesome, Carlo. And you're one of those guys who is so dedicated, and it shows in your work ethic, obviously at UCLA when you're running track, and then, climbing the ranks in the bobsled, also in business. I feel like you and I are very similar. Like, I have a full fitness business running. I still have a full real estate business that I'm running. Our days look crazy. What is an average day for someone who's training for the Olympics and a full-time business, entrepreneur look like?
If Man, it's nuts. Well, first I'll tell you like what I was doing before, and then I'll go into what I'm doing now. Like, so before, um, a normal day for me would be, I'd wake up, eat breakfast, then go do a running workout or pushing workout, where, um, yeah, sprints, pushing, dedicate an hour and a half to that. Come back in, recover, eat some more, rest a little bit, then go warm up again, then go into the weight room for about 3 hours, then go recover some more, then go eat, then go recover again. And then by the time all that's done, that's like a process from, call it 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's like a
Wow.
12-hour day of recovery and eating. That's all we did. But now it's a little different. Now with business, like first meeting's at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm doing meetings until 8 to 7 at night. And then at 7 o'clock, then I go to the gym, and I spend 2 to 2.5 hours in the gym until like 9:30. Then I come back home, then I eat, and then I recover as much as I can. And by the time all it's done, it's like 11 o'clock at night. And then I'm just trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. So it's, man, you have to adapt real quick, or you just won't survive. So I've learned to adapt to that. I definitely take my weekends off, or Sunday at least. Saturdays is still pretty active, but I have to take Sunday off, otherwise I just burn out. So
Yeah.
that's an whole day.
Oh, I'm a huge Sunday, Lord's Day, rest, a lot of Netflix, hanging out on the couch, getting my mind right for the week. Carlo, could you give any tips for anyone who's listening today who's maybe has a side hustle and a full-time job, whether it's like energy, something you drink, something you do, something mentally that helps you, like on that Tuesday, you're 3:30 p.m., you're like, dude, I still have all this in front of me. What keeps you going?
Yeah. Well, I enjoy talking with people, especially with my job. Like, all I'm trying to do is just add value to whatever someone's doing, and specifically in my position, it's just trying to identify a need and help solving it, and then walking them through that, because a lot of people don't know where to start. So just being able to add value, and also being in a growth and development role and providing mentorships for people on my team, that's what keeps me motivated. And then just knowing that, saying, hey, look, I got 2022 right here. It's all about long-term goals, right? So if you have those long-term goals, that'll keep you motivated. And now you just got to implement those smaller goals to help you achieve that. Okay, what do I got to do today? What do I got to do this week? What do I got to do next month? It helps. It just not just in athletics, but in business as well. So I'm striving for those goals, like on both sides. And as far as like outside sources, I do take a lot of caffeine. Why not?
Yeah,
I have to drink a lot of water. This is my gallon jug right here.
there you go.
I'm just, yeah, it can be a lot some days, but at the same time, I see the long-term picture, which is what a lot of people don't see, in my opinion. There's more focus on like today and tomorrow instead of next year and the next 5 years and the next 20 years.
Mm.
So I'm very forward thinking. I'm very present with whoever I'm talking with, but I'm also very forward thinking as far as like what I want to accomplish.
Yeah, I think you should be. I think that mindset really helps you dig through those, as Florence and the Machines would say, that the dog days.
Yeah.
One thing I love that you mentioned, in your role, you can kind of talk to people and get energy from other people because you're providing value. I'm one of those people as well. I thrive off other people and getting that energy, right? What if you're sitting here and you're listening, you're like, I'm not really in a job where I interact with a lot of people or I work from home. So one tip for a little energy boost, that has nothing to do with caffeine or diet, shoot like 3 messages out to friends or somebody, just, hey, I'm thinking of you. I just want to let you know I'm proud of you. Like, you got some great stuff. Just a very positive message. Send that out to 3 people. I'm telling you, after, you're going to be feeling juiced. You're like, man, all right, I have some energy to get through the day for those people who aren't in necessarily an interactive job. And, Carlo, this is kind of a funny question. I do want to ask you, like, when I think of bobsled, I
Yeah.
think of like the Jamaican bobsled team, John Candy, and you have this, like, so what exactly is a bobsled?
Yeah. Yeah. Bobsled. What is it? That's the question. So, yeah, you hear a lot of the references to Cool Runnings, which is what pretty much only everyone knows. Um, and it's a good feel good movie, but it's not really factual.
Yeah.
Um, and people know that. They just like to poke fun, which I get, which is why I play along. But yeah, I mean, so bobsled it's this giant sled. There's 2-man and 4-man. Those are the two disciplines that we have. And just to give you an idea of how much the sleds weigh, 2-mans weigh 170 kilos, which is what, 370-ish, 370 pounds. 4-man sleds weigh like 210 minimum. So 210, what is that? That's 460-ish pounds.
Wow.
So those are minimum weights. So imagine putting people in there. That's a missile going down the track, going anywhere between 85 to 95 miles an hour down
Whew.
ice. And all you got is the pilot just has ropes up with a pulley system in the front. Um, it blows my mind still sometimes, like what we do, because we're like, there's a chance that something bad could happen, like whether it's a crash or like an injury or whatever. But that's why we do it. I mean, I love that adrenaline rush that you get. Like, it's just like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we're doing it. Like,
Yeah.
it's cold. Uh, we're in nothing but spandex and a burn vest to protect us from ice burn. Um, it's just one of those crazy sports where people don't realize that a lot of great athletes are involved in. Like a lot of great athletes, guys who are like, NFL guys, track and field guys, USATF, Olympic level guys are ready in other sports. But I don't know, it's just whatever reason, sport draws those kind of that kind of talent, and we're able to put it together in a team environment, and next thing you know, good things happen. So yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes work too. So I call it like, it's like NASCAR in a way, where we're in the garage a lot, taking care of equipment, making sure everything's within regulation, because there's a lot of rules involved with it. And then the training behind it, yeah, we're training 6 days a week, running, pushing, lifting year round essentially. And we're going through a World Cup season, 7 races a year, 8 races a year, World Championships every year, and then of course the Olympics every 4 years. So the best way I can describe it is, imagine if you got a trash can and I kick that trash can off the hill while you're in it, and now you're on a ride for a minute. You know, the tracks are give or take a mile long. So
Dang, man. Well, I have so much respect for you, Carlo, because it just sounds crazy. Like, I think of track, and you start thinking of like bobsledding. That is so dangerous. I'm imagining like my stomach when I go on a roller coaster, I'm like freaking out. But can I imagine I'm in like a trash can and the dude in front of me is controlling the roller coaster with ropes and it's all downhill? Are you kidding me? That sounds so sketchy and scary. But I'm proud
it
of you,
is.
man. You did it and you crushed it. And, that's one thing I love about podcasts. People are listening today. I've never been to the Olympics. Odds are some of the people who are listening, I know it's very small people ever get to represent the United States in the Olympics. Can you take us a little bit behind the scenes of like
Yeah.
what that journey was like for everyone else here to kind of get to experience what you did?
Yeah, man. Um, let's just say a whole lot of sacrifices were made to make it happen, because that was my full-time job. Even now, I'm making a lot of sacrifices, like focusing on the business and this at the same time. But anyway, going back to that journey initially, yeah, it's just you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of people who are like-minded, who have the same goal in mind. So that's what it brings everyone's level up here. It doesn't matter if it's in sports or in business, same thing. Like if you elevate the level up here based upon what everyone else is doing, it's going to raise everyone else's. Um, but yeah, I mean, we got to travel to a lot of cool places. The people I've met along the way, it's been absolutely insane. And when we actually got to the Olympics, I was like, no, a dream come true. It was always like one of my biggest goals. Get into the highest level in anything. I always wanted to get to the NFL when I was playing football. Didn't happen. I always wanted to be in the Summer Olympics as a track athlete. Didn't happen. All right, what was next? Bobsled out of nowhere. Winter Olympics. I'm like, all right, let's go to the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
That's the highest level for that. So, you know, it's funny. The goal was always the same, just the environment kept changing. So yeah, I just kept pushing on and kept getting better and started to realize what it took to get there. I just got more serious, got more intentional, and surrounded myself with people who are in the same boat. And then once we got to Korea, man, it finally hit me. Opening ceremonies was nuts. That's when it all hit me, because like the announcement, that was like, all right, didn't really hit me then. Went through a couple more races, and the second we walked in that stadium in Pyeongchang, like that's when it fully hit me. I was like, holy hell, like we're here.
Oh
We made
my gosh.
But that was, there was still one goal left, and that was to win an Olympic medal. It didn't happen, which is, left a bad taste in my mouth, and why I want to go back up for another game. So that is like my last thing. That is like the one thing that's keeping me going. I need to win a medal. That's it. Having that said, like my experience in Korea was awesome. I loved every second of it. Like being around all the countries, and man, the crowds were insanely awesome. Like packed houses everywhere you went. Experience in the village was great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed my experience, and I was still focused on what I wanted to do. We had some things happen along the way that kind of took us out of the running, but still, you're there. You got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it was just crazy.
It sounds like you were around a lot of, really determined individuals. And I think that old expression, like who you surround yourself with is who you become. And you said something, Carlo, and I loved it. You said, the goal was always the same, to be the best, and whether it was making it to the NFL and track, but just the environment changed. And I think for everybody listening, that's a great mindset. Like no matter where you're at right now, try your hardest to be the best. Maybe it's not your future job that you love, but try and be the best at it, because the habits that it teaches you are gonna help you in the long run, right? Whether you're a barista at Starbucks, or you're at like an entry level job, try and be the best at it, because those skills and those habits that you learn about going the extra mile, waking up early, showing up early, that's going to pay off down the road. And, Carlo, it almost seems like you're training for the NFL, and then you're training for the Summer Olympics, all created this perfect storm. So when it was time to train for the Winter Olympics, you had everything built up, and you're like, all right, I just changed the environment. Now I'm going down a sled instead of running down a track. I can do this,
Yeah. Yeah. It goes for everything, in my life, like, video games, or just like a simple pickup basketball game, or drinking games, like what, honestly, whatever it is, like I'm very competitive, and I'm going to put all my energy into trying to win. I mean, of course, yeah, there's a time and place to be serious and to be, loose, but at the same time, I love the camaraderie with that and the competitiveness, and being able to talk smack as well. But yeah, whatever it is, I put all my time and energy into trying to be the best at what I did. It might take me a little bit to like get there, but I knew if I kept focusing on it, then I would get there. Same thing with business. Like I'm not obviously only 2+ years in. I'm still figuring stuff out, and I'll continue to learn every day. But that's just part of growth, and that's why they call it a career. You know, this is this is
Yeah.
something that we're going to do for the rest of our life because we love what we do. So
Yeah, I want to ask you too, Carlo, because like transitioning from the Olympics, I don't know whether or not it's paid or not, but I know you were still working and you had a full-time job. What was that transition like from, doing the 8-hour training days, everything's bobsled, and then into, you know, business and being an entrepreneur and working in finances?
yeah, so that was, that was, I don't want to say tricky, but it was new. It was new to me being able like to step into a business world, and I'm like, all right, how do I do this? How do I take what I've learned so far with athletics and transition it into business? So I was trying to like, shift my way through things, and trying to like, adopt some new things as well and implement new things. But at the same time, I kind of got away from what made me successful in sports. And it just didn't click to me later on, like maybe 6 months to a year into finance, where I'm like, what am I doing? I need to get back to what I know, what works. I need to be myself, and I need to, still maintain those core values that I've held back then to now. And then all of a sudden, I made it more simple for me. I was overcomplicating things at first, but then I'm like, why am I doing this? I was very robotic when I was talking with people. It didn't sound natural, which is normal, I guess. But then I just found my, like, all right, this is who I am. I got to stick with it. And then that's when I saw a shift in my business change. I became more successful. I was, closing more, making more money, whatever you want to call it. I just, again, got more intentional around what I wanted to do and simplified everything while still maintaining the same things I was doing in athletics. Just mental preparation, that's huge. And I call it flipping the switch, because too, like we have a bunch of meetings a week, and how many hours in a week? 150 something, 156.
Hmm.
But anyway, I have on average 15 meetings a week for an hour each, not including phone calls. So I know on those 15 hours I have in that week, I have to be at my absolute best when I'm talking with someone. And I flip the switch. I become this new person. Like when I take a bunch of caffeine and a bunch of other stuff and mentally prepared for races, I'm a whole new person.
Yeah.
So I approach the same thing in business now. When I'm talking with someone, I'm like, I have to be prepared, present in the moment, and just laser focused when I'm talking to that individual. And you won't believe the type of separation you have from everyone else when you start doing that. And you'll see a difference too in your business, whatever business it is. Like you'll see it. You've seen it too. Like you've just been crushing it. You're out of debt now. 54K gone.
Yeah.
Less than a year, man. And you don't accomplish that without being intentional and knowing the game plan before it happening. So yeah, like you gotta flip the switch. Mentally prepare. It's huge. Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
just be confident in your abilities. Continue to work hard. Keep your head down. Can never be complacent in this business. You always need to evolve. Um,
Yeah.
so that's just what I've been able to adapt to and adopt now, 2+ years in, and it's paid off finally. And I'm still I'm still trying to figure it out, which is crazy. But
Yeah. I mean, you said something really interesting too. You were like, once I started to be myself, I started to succeed. And I think this will happen to us in business, right? You were in bobsledding, right? Like I came from fitness. Then you get thrusted into like real estate or finances. And you start learning from people who have been in that industry and they're teaching you the ways they do it, right? And it doesn't seem natural because you sound robotic and you're trying to be someone you're not. And then for you, same thing as me, about like 6 to 8 months in, I was like, man, I'm wearing these fancy suits. I'm like saying all the stuff that they want me to say, but I'm like fumbling through it. It doesn't sound how I should. And I was like, no, I mean, I'm a very, like, I like to dress nice, but not in these suits. I'm uncomfortable. It's making me feel awkward. And then I started to be more myself, just like funny, energetic. And then
yeah,
people start vibing with you. You start attracting the right people. Business starts taking off. And I think, you kind of nailed that on the head in your journey as well. I want to talk to you about, like sports, because this whole podcast is mind, body, spirit, right? Like, how do you feel like sports or training translates into business?
Yeah. Just put in the work, really. I mean, when I go in the gym, like, it sounds crazy, but I go in for torture. I know after that workout I'm gonna be better.
Yeah.
So that's why we work on our business every day, because we know we're gonna get better the more we do it. It's just reps, reps,
Yeah.
reps, 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 experience. Like, and that adds confidence to what we do. Um, so that's my mindset. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I can't put it any clearer. Being intentional. I repeat it a lot, but just you have to visualize what's going to happen too. Like, I visualize the workout. I visualize my race. I visualize my meeting. I visualize all the stuff before it happens.
Mm.
Um, it's absolutely crazy. It's funny, like, when you probably saw the podcast with Ed and Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
Like, when that happened, I'm like, dude, he's just stealing all my ideas. No, he's but no, these are the things about for a long time. And it's just funny when I hear other people say it, 'cause I'm like, yes, it's exactly how you should be handling it. So visualizing it before it happens is huge. And you probably notice this too when you're working out or when you're in the shower. Like, you have these peak thoughts, right? You have these thoughts that come into your head saying, "Oh man, I should probably do this. I should probably do that. This will probably work,"
Yeah.
right? Like, it's crazy. So now I'm in my workout, like, thinking about all this stuff, and then all of a sudden these new things come to light, and I write them down after I get back from the gym. I'm like, I have to write this down. So
That is so funny, bro. I know my wife laughs so hard at me because we'll be watching something and I just grab my phone and start putting in my notes. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'll show her, and it's like marketing piece. Do this, do this, do this. This would be really good. It's like crazy.
mhm.
These thoughts just come to your head, and you gotta run with it. I love it.
Yeah, dude, it's just crazy how our mind works, especially when we've been exposed to a lot of things in our life, and we're able to, like, look back on something and say, hey, I remember when I did this and it worked. Why
Yeah.
haven't I done it? Why did I go away from that? So you're it's really weird how it works, but um,
That's so funny. On that, my sales coach told me one of the first meetings I had with him, he's like, salespeople will do this all the time. They'll find something that works and it's getting results, and then they change it up. It's like, if that's working, keep doing it, right? And
yeah,
like, you're seeing the results. One thing you said about visualizing, and I know, Phil Mickelson's really big into that. Ed's into that. I know I listened to like Conor McGregor a lot when I was kind of growing up in my mid 20s, and he would always visualize like him driving that new car and his steering wheel. So I would literally remember, Carlo, I was still driving my Scion. I went to the Mercedes-Benz dealership, couldn't even afford one, man. Like, I had no meaning being there, but I wanted to test drive one, right? So I test
yeah,
drive it, and I immediately noticed, I'm like, damn, this steering wheel is nice. Like, I could feel the leather. And then the dream got real because I was like in it. And then every day after that, I'd be in my Scion and I'd be like, oh, I visualize it. I see it. It's happening. Like, and even in the morning, I visualize. Then within a year, was able to get the car from something I thought I was never going to be able to do. And it's power of visualization.
yeah, dude. That's another thing too. Like, it's a good point, or that you mentioned that, because, like, there's people I know who will actually drive into the neighborhoods that they want to live in someday, or test drive a car that they want to drive someday, or fly to a location they want to have like a second house in someday. So yeah, I totally get that. You're visualizing what's going to happen in the future, and that's super important if you have big goals, of course.
Yeah, man. I
Big
think
goals.
this has been so much great information. And I definitely want to, end today's podcast with your 3 life takeaways and kind of how all this knowledge you've learned, being Olympian, being a successful business person has, created this person that's here in front of us today. What 3 life takeaways would you give for our audience?
Yeah. Hey, work hard. Um, Prove yourself day in and day out. Like, don't get complacent. and continue to learn. Like, be open. It's funny. There's a lot of people out there who are just so set in their ways and are comfortable with what they're doing, but they don't want to be uncomfortable. They're not open to new ideas. So being open has, cliched as it sounds, has opened other doors for me and opportunities that I didn't think were going to happen. But because I was open to the thought, it's paid off, and I was willing to get uncomfortable. So that's huge. Just get outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's when you grow the most, and then that's going to translate into everything else that you do in life. And Carlo, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today, and everybody who's listening as well. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. Please share this with a friend if you got some value from this, and leave me a review. I'm going to make sure that I tag Carlo on Instagram if you guys want to follow him and check out his journey that he's on right now. It's quite amazing. And I just want to end by saying thank you, Carlo, for your time and for coming out and just sharing, a bunch of really great nuggets for everyone listening.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for having me again. I'm glad. I hope people find value in this. It's just something I'm passionate about and want to pass on to others. Just that's another big thing of mine. I just want to be able to pass on as much information that I've learned to others, and what better way to do it on not just your podcast, but other platforms as well. So yeah, thanks again for having me.
You bet, Carlo. Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you, everyone who's listening today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you for the continued support of the Andrew Walsh podcast. Have a great rest of your day.